and become wind.
How were you able to control that spirit when no one else could?
As your father could tell you, I've spent my life studying the spirits and learning their ways. All of this knowledge is lost in the South, but I could teach you everything I know.
Revealing the unseen mysteries when everything ain't what it seems. It'll blow your mind outside you seek. You find the realms of possibilities. Connect with the infinite intellect to receive of the positive energy. Reciting the sacred mantra to lift you to higher frequencies. Archives and constellations, star signs. When the planets align, new paradigms and paralyzed. From the visit of the succubus at nighttime. Hypnotized sometimes when the watchers flying to the sunrise. It'll set you free from the unbelief. It'll break your mind from the confines. Spirits leaving, changing seasons. Principalities undefeated over a certain region. Shamanic novice with knowledge, commune with higher beings with a deeper meaning. The reason Solomonic magic in Jesus was accused of channeling demons. I'm thought of, sort of, this portal to the paranormal. Hearing these voices speaking to me when spirit touches immortal. With a knife in my back and I bleed through the scars. As I am, you see through my flaws. Staring at the stars and the rhythm wars. Never open up the doors with the Ouija board.
Traveling the path where the past is destroyed. Arrive at 0 point, enter the void. This is fractal math, holographically enjoy. Darkness we can't avoid, enter the void. Everything disappear right now, right here. Everything disappear right now, right here. Everything disappear right now, right here. Here, enter the void.
Enter the ritual, step in the temple, connect with the spiritual realm. Metaphysical to the etherical pathways beyond the physical world. You could ascend to the kingdom of heaven or sit and stay living in hell. Mystical, wisdom, and dark, a lyrical shaman lifting a spell. Witness the miracle, traveling beyond the body, see this is a shell. And you in the third dimensional prism that got us imprisoned in cells. Sit between 4 and 20, yo, the split into 12s. Shh. You can hear them whispering if you listen it well. Came to awaken the ancient of days, man, I stay ringing the bell. Mythical note from the place where the wicked fell back to the kingdom of hell. Blessed with the wisdom performing the exorcism, the sins get expelled. So we are the demons and angels, balance the energies within yourself. I'm trying to find a path between the light and the dark. I'm writing to spark a link between the mind and the heart. We gotta unite both sides before they divide us apart. Said we gotta unite both sides before they divide us apart.
Traveling the path where the past is destroyed. Arrive at 0 point, enter the void. This is fractal math, holographically enjoy. Darkness we can't avoid, enter the void. Everything disappear right now, right here. Everything disappear right now, right here. Everything disappear right now, right here. Into the void.
Now I'm good with nothing. Why y'all good for nothing? My 100,000 pedal loaders, dopamine over flooded. Stargate runnings, dragons out the dungeon. My Hakali been summoned. Total destruction into a vacuum suction. Conjunction, junction, that's my function. Through a star cluster in a maritime custom. Stellar dust encrusted, I ain't touching your disgusting judgments. We rise above it, enjoying the void. Source of pure joy, no more discussion.
So if you get to the South Pole, then what happens?
You will open an ancient spirit portal.
I'm sorry, what now?
At the South Pole, there is a portal that connects our world to the spirit world. But it has long been closed.
And that's why the evil spirits are attacking?
There are no evil spirits. There's light and dark in them all. When they're unbalanced, the darkness takes over. If you can open the portal in time, balance will be restored.
What do you mean, in time?
There's a reason the Glacier Spirits Festival ends on the winter solstice. And that's when the spirit world and the physical world are close together. Only then can the Avatar open the portal.
The winter solstice is tomorrow.
Exactly. And we can't afford to wait another year.
Traveling the path where the past is destroyed. Arrive at 0 point, enter the void. This is fractal math, holographically enjoy. Darkness we can't avoid, enter the void. Everything disappear right now, right here. Everything disappear right now, right here. Everything disappear right now, right here. Into the void.
I found true freedom. I am no longer bound to this earth by worldly desires. I have entered the void.
We're on mute.
Oh, well, that'll happen.
I was wondering what was happening.
The funniest part about lives is the technical difficulties that can happen. So what we said was, and we're live.
I said, alive.
We're doing a live. So, yeah. Welcome, everyone, to our weekly episode of Our Daily Magic. What Our Daily Magic is a collective space in which we allow ourselves to really unleash our magic. We all have our own unique version of magic within us. And what we are doing is, with our intention of allowing powerful conversations that we have in every episode to help arm you with tools to be able to incorporate more of your magic in your daily lives. And of course, my name is Dell.
I'm Kai.
And
we have an amazing guest today. This is this the right way? Yes. This way? Yes, it is the right way.
Okay. Yeah.
This is Mela, and Mela is from Bell Book and Candle. Let me read the intro real quick. So Bell Book and Candle is also a community which fosters the education and encouragement of the pagan community in their spiritual walk, which is key for so much. She's got videos, photographs, lore, guests, path working, rituals, everything to enrich your practice. So welcome, Mela. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes! So the first question that I'd love to ask is just about your origin story. Like, how did you get introduced to this community, and how is it, like, what's your experience so far?
I started out in a very fundamentalist Christian church growing up. I often call it a cult because it was a very small church and we were controlled in a lot of ways. And I always thought there was something more, something different. I was always a different kind of child. I had psychic gifts that I was told were of the devil and that sort of thing. And as I got older, that kind of followed me. And I tried so hard to find this spiritual path that I knew I wanted to have this connection. I went to Bible college. I became an overseas missionary and a missionary here in the country. And I just was searching and searching, and I could not fill the emptiness inside of me. And I dealt with a lot of different abuse in my life. And so I was what I used to think was a broken person. And so this brokenness, my mental health was an issue. I got to the point, even after I got married, I had physical issues. I got really, really sick within a year of being married at around age 26. Had problems with my pregnancies, and just all these things compounded to make me into a person that wanted to die. I was suicidal. I was depressed. And I was in this place where I didn't even want to live anymore. And I thought my family would be better off without me. And so I didn't want to have anything to do with spirituality, anything to do with religion at all. Like, I even went out and cursed God for everything that had happened in my life, physically yelling up to the sky. And then just through time, I'm 49, so this was 20 some years ago. Just through time, I found this connection to nature, this connection to earth-centered spirituality, and I filled that empty place. I also got therapy, which was very helpful. And I spent a couple of stints in the mental health hospital. I mean, I've been through it all. But I emerged from that with the top thing that changed my life was learning to love myself. Like, that's what I had to work on the most. I almost got divorced from my husband. We were legally separated. And it was all because I was looking to everyone else, including religion, spirituality, God, whatever you want to call it, my husband, to make me feel like I was of worth, that I was an important person. You have to find that within yourself. And I didn't know that. So I was miserable because everything else was not giving me what I needed. So when I really down deep learned to love everything within myself, including my spiritual gifts and including, I have face blindness. So including my face blindness, including all these things, that's when my world changed. And that's when I could just really walk my path freely and find my place in the world. And that's how I came to paganism. There's different terms for it: earth-based spirituality, paganism. I also, at this point in my life, freely acknowledge that I am a witch. So all of that comes from this incredible 20 plus year, well, I mean, I guess if you include everything, 40 plus year path, to get to where I am.
Yes. The embodiment and embracing of who you are and that journey in between of getting there.
Yeah.
Your story resonates so much with me as well, of this growing up strictly in a religion, and then always having that curiosity, like I feel like there's more to it than what I'm being told. And also the shame that can get projected on you when you decide to go a different way. And once you really start to unravel, like you said, and start to learn yourself and appreciate yourself, and all these external things that we look for to receive it, it never fathoms going within and finding within yourself.
Yeah.
So right on. I totally hear you're coming from, and I honor your journey to get you to where you are right now. And I love the fact you embrace, like, yeah, I'm a witch.
Yeah, I'm a witch. I would even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that in public. So even I went back to school in my 40s and started my business and everything in the past 6 years. So, it's never too late. But yeah, now I freely say I'm a witch and I'm proud of it. And that's not always a safe thing to say in the Southern United States, but that's where I am in my walk right now. Yeah.
It's like all the different words that have different like levels to it. And we only can understand it with the level of consciousness or awareness that we're at in the moment. So people have been programmed to feel like, oh, witches are bad and they're doing this bad stuff to people and it's evil and all these other things. And
exactly.
I had that program in me before. I remember her with she had crystals before when I was still in the curious stage of like, I didn't even get to the curious stage yet. I was predominantly still a Christian. So like she had a crystal skull, and my son who's 9 years old, but at that time he's probably like 4 or 5, he grabbed it and I was like, don't touch that, don't touch that, don't touch that. No. It's gonna open up.
Instant curse.
Yeah. I could laugh at it now. It's just a very interesting thing, just how beliefs can limit us, like just not being curious of stepping out and what could potentially happen by stepping out and this experience in life compared to feeling like I got to do it this way or else I'm gonna get in trouble or else I'm gonna be punished forever type of thing.
Yeah. It's like this whole trying to stuff you into a box that you just don't fit in. And it seems like that's what culture and religion and so many people just want to do. They want you to fit in this box in a shape that a lot of people just don't fit in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so funny now that you mention it, my journey was like kind of the opposite. I was always encouraged to be curious and to just explore, because I went to Catholic school for kindergarten, and then I went to Baptist church, and then I, ended up dabbling, seeing what was up with the Buddhists and, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like, it was cool to be like committed to one path. And I was like, man, and now what am I going to do?
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up?
I've wasted all this time exploring all these different things where I could have been dedicated to just one path. And I was like, oh, man.
Being a seeker is great, though. I tell people that all the time. It's okay being a seeker. I think growing up here in basically South Carolina for most of my life made it really difficult to really be allowed to explore, because it was not done. And even within the last 10 years, when I went searching for just a pagan meetup group or some group in the, that I could be part of, because I'd just been very solitary up till then, there was nothing. I had to start it myself. And now there's a lot of different things. But at the time, I couldn't find anything to even join to be with other people. So yeah, and my husband, he was still going to church. And when we got the legal separation the second time, he actually asked me to leave, because he had just been filled with all this fear that I was going to corrupt my children. I have two children who are in their 20s now, but he just was so terrified that I was going to corrupt them, and I couldn't even be with them without another adult being in the room with me when we got separated, because there was this fear because of my spirituality that I was going to, I don't know, like what you were saying, touching the crystal skull. It's like, what, I'm going to hex them or something, just being around my own children.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very interesting with that, because of course I know people who are still predominantly in their religious faith. So seeing something that's outside of their faith, they can easily just label it as evil, satanic, and they have the right to. There are people out there who practice that in that type of aspect of like going there. But then also like what I experienced for myself, and also this who I am, is practicing in a way of unconditional love in that type of way. And the best thing for myself, and I definitely want to hear, I'm gonna ask you this question and bring it back to you, is just being able to be okay with those people who feel that way, but also show them what the possibility is of being a spiritual person in your own unique way. So the question is back to you now. With your husband, you mentioned your husband being so scared, so fear-based. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people, because you say you just started coming out to announce who you truly are and the process of that. How did people receive that? And also how did you handle that? And how are you handling that right now?
It gets easier the more I do it. It was very difficult at first. My parents are very supportive of me, which if you know all my story, you can see how amazing that is. With all the abuse and everything that we went through, we're to a point now that we live all on 10 acres together with my sisters, and we have our own houses, but we live together on the same property. And people who knew us in the past, they would just say, what in the world is going on there? But that's called healing. That's what that is. It's called healing. But my parents were a little iffy at first, of course. I was out of the church long before they were. And my mother now, she came on a retreat with me last weekend. She comes and is involved in rituals and things that I do. She doesn't call herself pagan, but you don't have to be pagan in order to celebrate nature and celebrate healing and different things like that. In fact, I do a full moon ceremony every single month. I just had it on Sunday night, and it is interfaith. And I have all faiths and spiritual paths and religions that come to this. Before pandemic, I was doing it in person. And I would sometimes have 40 to 60 people there of all different faiths. And that's okay. I am extremely interfaith. And I think as long as you're not trying to harm somebody and you're not trying to tear someone down, it's okay. Everyone doesn't have to be on a pagan path. Everyone doesn't have to be on a Christian path. You can all kind of get to the same point. I really love this. I like saying this analogy that I heard in school. Everybody is going on a path up the mountain. Everyone has their own path up to the top of the mountain. They're all going to get to the top of the mountain. Only the people walking around the bottom telling everyone else they're on the wrong path are the only ones who aren't going to make it to the top. So that's kind of how I feel about all, spirituality and different faiths. I'm very interfaith. Everyone's climbing up the mountain. The only ones that got some problems going on are the ones down at the bottom yelling at everybody.
Exactly. Wow. As you said that, I was just envisioning sort of like the people who are on their path and honoring their path and they're just doing it. And then the people who are saying like, this is the wrong path, they're like in a standstill as this person is continuing up.
Yeah.
You're doing it the wrong way. You're going up the wrong way. Like,
right. Why are you putting your energy into trying to tell everyone else how to do it? Just do it yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not trying to convert. I am not an evangelist anymore. Nobody has to be on the same path that I'm in. As long as you are on a path that is fulfilling you, that's filling that emptiness, and that is having this divine connection, that's fine. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convert people, and that's kind of foreign to a lot of different religions and spiritualities. I'm here. The people who resonate with me will find me. I'm not seeking out people.
Yeah.
I had to integrate that also for myself, because not only just on the Christian side of things, in which I was trying to convert everyone and feel this, pretty much my intention, like, I want you to feel this, what I'm feeling right now. But also as part of me, like, this is the right way, it's the only way, and the other ways, they're not as superior as this one. And it also happened to me in the spiritual world when I had my spiritual awakening, and I was doing the way that I was doing it in the form of, my first really deep spiritual experience was psychedelics. So I thought psychedelics was the only way of doing it. This is the most powerful way. Everything else, no. And people were trying to tell me, like, yeah, you can like just meditate and just be out in the field and have the same experience. I was like, no, it's not. It's not the same. It's not the same. But I integrated now because, like you mentioned, like there's all these different ways to the mountains, and I had to experience it for myself. And now I'm at a place of what you just mentioned, in which like everybody has their own way, and also the way that you do it resonate with people who are going to come to you because that's your tribe, and then people who it don't resonate with is totally fine as well. Don't need to like try to convince them that, oh, do it this way. And there's a lot of people out there with their practices are trying to force it upon people, like this is the right way to do it, this is a superior way, this is the best way. And it's like, it's the best way for you.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge thing. And I was right in the middle of that. You know, as a missionary, I'm even going overseas and telling people this is the only way you're going to die in sin and go to hell if you don't follow this one path. And I just sometimes when I think back to that, it breaks my heart that I was searching so hard and wanting to serve. I really was. I wanted to serve the community. I wanted people to find peace. So I didn't have any kind of bad intentions when I did it. Yeah. I truly was wanting to change people's lives, but I just had been brought up in this such a narrow area that I thought that was what I needed to do. And it never really brought me the fulfillment that I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a teacher that I was listening to at some point in time where they says that everyone has a God-sized hole in their heart. I was like, whoa, that's profound.
Yeah. And maybe the hole is not the same shape for everybody.
Exactly. Ooh,
nice.
I like that. I love that. That is, that's great. And I wanted to just mention just how you were saying before, you felt bad, bringing awareness to what you had done before. And the thing that came into my mind, it was perfect because of what Jesus said when he died on the cross, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. So in those moments, you only did what you knew what to do in that moment. But with the awareness that you have now, you're like, okay, there's a completely different way to be able to do that. And that's the part of life, like it's the learning and experiences. And for myself, I was able to integrate those parts of me, the Christian side, because the essence of it is beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's just like the egoic part of this. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with any type of practice. The essence of it is beautiful. The embodiment of it is beautiful. It's just that when the ego side of it starts to kick in and try to limit you and keep you contained and all that stuff, that's when it gets like that. But it seemed like you learned your lesson from it and you integrated it. And that's like the beauty. That's what life is all about.
And I learned so much from the things that I did. I was I was trained to be a teacher, and I am the teacher that I am today, both in religious studies and secular things. I've worked at a museum doing docent work and training there. I learned to be a teacher through these religious organizations, and I was taught in such a way that I could take any information and teach it. It didn't have to just come from the Bible. There may be some people who knew me in the past that are watching this right now, because I shared this on my Facebook page, and I still have people on there who don't agree with what I do. And they're seeing me talk about this so much now. So I hope that if they're listening to this, that they see that the person that I was back then was empty, depressed, and striving for something that I was never actually getting. And I hope that they can just even see on my face and my persona, my aura, whatever you want to call it, that I have truly found peace in this world and with myself and with my mind, body, and my spirit. So if y'all are watching right now, I just want you to know I am okay. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And I hope they receive that. And if they don't, I received that.
If they truly care about me and they truly love me, this is what I've realized. If you truly cared about me or care about me now, you will honor that. You may not agree with it, but you can still honor that. If you were using me, or I was a means to an end or anything like that, and I'm not fitting into your hole anymore, that shape that you wanted me to fit into, then I don't need you in my life anymore.
It reminded me, because I just got finished with a book by Richard Rohr. It's what was it called? Something upward, going upward, or going downward or upward, something like that. I don't know.
Some direction.
Yeah, it's a direction. But pretty much the essence of the book was just how you got to go descend deep into yourself, deep into like those insecurities, all the shadow work, going deep into that and loving that part of yourself, loving yourself first and going there and integrating that. So that way, when you step out and go into the world, you just see people for what they are and see them for what they are, and pretty much because you found it within yourself, and what you found within yourself is within everybody else. But he made a valid point in which he was saying the world needs more people in that state in which you are complete, you're in peace, you're an embodiment of it. So that way you can show the world what is possible by embodying that unconditionally. So there's going to be people who are not ready for it, and the hecklers and stuff like that who are not ready to face that or see that possibility because they're so embedded in their beliefs. But what happens is a great test for us to go deeper into our own awareness, deeper into who we are, and integrate that even more. So that way, even those people we can shed light to and shed love to. Because with Jesus' disciples that he came across, it weren't like just like people doing the spiritual practices and all this other stuff. It was a murderer, a heckler, a prostitute. He was able to convert. Right. And they were saying like he was just having lunch and conversating with like people that normally nobody else would want to like talk to, and he was hanging out with those people. So being like that, it's like, how can I be at war with somebody when I'm just loving everybody?
Yeah, I think a lot of times love gets taken out of religion these days.
Oh yeah.
And it just becomes a set of rules to follow.
Yeah. Religion and also spiritual groups. This is on both sides. Spiritual group, you're not safe out of this conversation either.
Right. And paganism is not safe either, because there are religions and groups that want to make you conform to a certain way too. There's so many spiritual paths, so many religions, and even outside of it too, that just want you to be a certain way, and you have to follow your own path.
Yeah.
And thank you for clarifying that for me, because I was wondering, I thought that I had a problem with commitment. I was like, why do I just keep going from one practice to the other? And it was actually the conformity that turned me off. I thought that by not conforming that I wasn't committed.
Yeah.
but I was actually committed to this thing over
Your
here.
own path. Yeah.
Yeah.
This right here shows you're committed.
Oh.
There you go.
True.
I think that people can be seekers their entire life. And so I teach a class with Anne Marie, a friend of mine, and we call it Walking the Pagan Path. And we do that because all of our classes are focused on not teaching someone how to come in and be a pagan the way we see it. We teach them how to figure out what your beliefs are, how to figure out what you want to do, how to forge your own path. So Kai, you're on your own path and you're forging it. And no, you don't have to have the same spirituality as anybody else in the world. That's your magic and your path.
Yeah. And that's an interesting topic to go a little bit into as well. And now we're shifting from religion side to spirituality side now. How there's a lot of groups out there that try to tell people, you gotta do it this way. This is the right way of doing it. This is the only way of doing it. You can't do it any other way. I've been a part of those type of stuff in which they try to like pretty much program you to be a follower type of thing, in which there's a hierarchy type of thing going on. This person is the leader and everybody else is underneath them and type of stuff. And yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we're talking about the religious ego, but also the spiritual ego and that type of stuff. And the teaching, like when Mela mentioned what she does with her group, is amazing. And that's like what I embody for myself as well. Is like, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to hold space to allow you to find out what you need to do for yourself.
Absolutely.
And go there because you have the tools within you. All you need is like the perfect mirror to show you.
Yeah.
That's already there. I'm not going to say like, you need to be with me forever and all this other stuff or whatever it is. You got to go through the pillars and everything else. No, like we're here. I have some experience. I'm going to show you a way of being able to go within and find your own answers. Mm-hmm. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
great.
That's amazing.
A little controversial.
Let's go.
I also see a purpose, though, to the rules and the strictness. And one is that I think that some people want answers. Mm-hmm. Like they want answers for whatever their reason is, right? And it doesn't matter if that answer, because there's no such thing, in my opinion, as right or wrong, but the person is just craving an answer in order for them, to like continue on. That's one thing that I see, but also I see that, that these like structures are there so that they can be questioned. Mm. It's like if you have like these stories about like gurus who tell people to, go find a pear, cut it in half, bring it to the top of this mountain, make sure that it doesn't touch the ground, all of these things. And it's like, well, did you ask him why?
Or did you just follow blindly?
Right.
Yeah. That reminds me of a quote that I read somewhere when it said, if you want to like test to see if you're with a proper teacher, challenge their stuff, question what they're doing. And if they can handle the question and stuff that comes your way, then you're on the right way. If they can't, and they say you can't challenge them, that's when you should question it.
Yeah. Another way is ask where they learn their information. And someone that you should not be learning anything from is someone who doesn't want you questioning. I just know it, or I've got it from sources or whatever. If they won't tell you exactly how they learned it, and it doesn't have to be from a university or, another mentor, but if they can't tell you or they won't tell you, that is a red flag that this is probably not the person you should be learning from.
Yeah. There's different levels between like people who just blurt out information that you may have got on YouTube or learn type of thing, and somebody who gives out information because they embody it.
Yeah.
A different energy between both of them.
Yeah, definitely.
And we got some comments.
We do have comments. Would you mind reading them, dear Dell?
Sure.
Aww.
So Svetlana said, I'm so happy I found my path after taking classes with Mela and Anne Marie.
Oh, Svetlana, thank you.
And there's another one. Oh, this one's from Robert. After taking classes and mentorship with Mela, it definitely helped me to dive within and find my own path and my own way.
Oh, Robert. It made me cry.
Oh, love.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love teaching. It's just something that I love teaching more than anything else that I do in my business, in my podcast. And so when something that I teach actually hits the heart of someone and it allows them to find their own path, it allows them to make a divine connection, that's just everything. That's my purpose. That's my purpose on this earth, is to help people connect in some way, in their own way.
That seems like a universal purpose for all of us.
Yeah.
You would hope so, right?
Because here's the thing. This is why I was saying it. Is because without polarity, you wouldn't be able to navigate through life. So if you didn't have the experience of stuff you didn't like, you want to find out what you really do like. So let's say like you just experience everything you liked. Like how would you know like what's your preference type of
Yeah. And in the class that I teach, I kind of have that idea as well, because for instance, I will teach them how to do a ritual, and I will have a recipe for the ritual. And I will say, for an assignment, do it this way. Try it one time. Cast your circle. Say your invocation. Make the sacred container. And if it doesn't work for you, then wiggle around with it and figure it out. But try it once. Don't just say, no, that's not for me. Just at least try things one time and figure out if it's for you or not.
Yeah.
And not everyone likes that kind of idea. It's like, no, don't try. I really like this statement that I heard, and I use it all the time now, but it's when you know better, you do better. And that applies to so many things. Even when we were talking about our backgrounds and the things that we experienced, and now we're different. And with myself, now that I know better, I do better in my life, and I teach better. I think that's a powerful statement.
Yeah. There's also, because like I was thinking about that, there's people who also know better, but they choose not to do better.
Absolutely.
So it's freedom of choice and awareness. But it gets more harder to not do better once you bring awareness to it, because then it's like, oh, so you know this lesson and you keep doing the same thing. Let me make it more intense for you.
That's where sovereignty comes in. Sovereignty is something else that I'm really huge on. And people want to blame everything around them and their bosses and their parents and Mercury retrograde and everything else for all the problems going on. But and I'm not saying that energy doesn't affect things, but they just want to push everything on that. Sovereignty is taking responsibility for how you act, but also how you react. So when your boss makes you angry at work and you blow up and then therefore lose your job, well, if your boss didn't blow up, maybe you wouldn't have lost your job, is what they go out and tell everyone. They chose to do that. That's scary. People don't want to take responsibility like that, but that is true sovereignty. It's taking responsibility for all that. And knowing that you are choosing. If you know better and you choose not to do better, nobody's making you do that except you.
That's great.
Yeah.
We got another comment here. It's from Devin. Devin says, I can so relate to what you were saying with helping other people find their own path. That's what I want to do with my retreats in Italy. She lives in Italy, y'all.
Oh, awesome.
I want to help people stop suffering by living a life that isn't adapted to them.
Amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, but what do you do? You know, if you have like a client, a student, a comrade, an associate that is addicted to self-sabotage.
Mm, I have many of those. Friends, family, myself in the past. That is a hard thing to break. And I think what Dell mentioned, shadow work. Shadow work is just integral to growing, to truly growing and changing what you're doing in life. I have a business called 3 Rays of Light. And even though I do some of my pagan things through it, it's an interfaith business. So I do spiritual coaching through that, and I do hypnosis, past life regression, all that sort of thing. But I also guide people through shadow work because it changed my life. That's what I did. I did it through a therapy setting first. But when you dig into that, you really have to face, why are you sabotaging yourself? And a lot of times it comes to not loving yourself enough. If you don't truly and utterly love every part of yourself, sabotaging yourself is going to be very easy and very difficult to break because it's just going to come naturally. We sabotage ourselves with our words. Words are powerful. I mean, there's a reason why spells are cast using words. In the Bible, God created the heavens and the earth through word. He spoke and it was created. Words are powerful. We curse ourselves almost every day. I mean, think of how many times we have cut ourselves down, or we've made a joke about how, we're not good enough, or even just the words that go like a ticker tape in our minds. All those are curses. So I think the majority of people think, oh, we've been cursed. I've been cursed. I've got this curse on me. I would say probably 80%, if not more, of these curses have come from other people or yourself cursing and yourself by saying, I'm worthless. That was one of mine. I thought I'm worthless, and I was told for many, many years I would never amount to anything. And those echoed in my mind for so long. And I still sometimes have to say, no, I don't believe that anymore, because something will happen. Something as simple as burning dinner. And it will come up because I was told for so many years that I was worthless and would never amount to anything. And I could not do anything right. And I will say, look, I can't even make supper. Wait a minute. It's just supper. It's just a mistake. I don't have to tear myself down for that. So you're never going to get to the point, I think, where you're going to be perfectly fine and never have to deal with any of that. It's always going to be this dialogue with yourself. But you will get better and better and better at it, where they don't come up as often. But you have to catch it. You have to catch that sabotage. And you specifically have to catch when you are cursing and sabotaging yourself through your words.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring some awareness to what you said about the worthless part. And it's funny because that's how, like, the way I do my own shadow work is getting to the origin of whatever this belief is. And like you mentioned, people were telling you you're worthless, you can't do anything right, all these things. Yeah. And what can happen to us is we hear these beliefs and we hear it in our voice. So we think it's us saying it, like, oh, I'm worthless, oh, I can't do this right, and like this. But when we go to origin, we actually can see when the person said it to us in those moments of you're this, you're that, and we take it on and we embody it. And like you say, words are spells. Mm-hmm. And when somebody's saying it to us and then we start believing it, it starts to be a snowball effect, and we start acting it out and finding ways of being worthless, the littlest things, or not doing stuff the right way. So that's why I want to bring awareness to it. That's the most like powerful thing of realizing the origin of these negative beliefs that we have, where they come from our experiences, and bringing the awareness to it and being with those moments.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I do is also age regression. And so sometimes we will just go back to a time period, even as a child, to find out where something did stem from, because you're right. When you find out where it came from, you can rework it into something different, and you can actually rewire, reprogram your brain, because It's like a computer program, and everything around us is programming us in a certain way. And we get to a point where we have to reprogram that so that we can live a more fulfilling life.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It's like, what else could I say for that? That was the perfect way of doing that.
Absolutely.
Changing the program. But that's what I was about to mention. I was thinking about it. It's so also for me, what's very interesting is sometimes when you actually do go back to those moments of feeling like, oh, when this happened, or where the origin of feeling worthless, or this other stuff, there's some childhood experiences that we had that we were told that, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh no, don't worry. No, you don't have the right to feel the way you felt. And it crushed us as a kid. And what can happen is we carry on that energy of feeling that crushing moment on with us because we told, oh, it's not that serious and that stuff. But for us and that kid part of us, it was serious. And that kid part of us it has the right to feel the way that it felt, and to give that kid part of us the moment to feel what it needs to feel so that it could translate to love.
Yeah, that's important. And even something as simple as don't talk at the dinner table. Don't speak in front of adults.
Yeah.
Don't be loud and run around and that sort of thing. And we're told that even as children, and it's, it's innocuous. It's not anything that's going to hurt anything, but we are taught that, and it creates this kind of shadow pieces where we feel like we can't express ourselves. We have to be timid and quiet and sit back and let other people have their say. We carry so many things forward from just little things that were said to us.
It just reminded me too, because like being excited, like a kid being excited to tell you something, and then they're saying like, hey, like, no, like you can't, not right now. And kids crush. Kid wants to share what they're excited about in the moment. Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm not important enough. It can those thoughts can happen from it. It's just crazy to like think about that in that type of perspective. It just shows you like just how moments impact people a different way, like these little moments.
Yeah. I was told to be very quiet growing up, and I was very quiet. I was afraid in my home to speak up. I was afraid to speak at the dinner table. And the times that I did, I actually got in trouble. I remember one of the last times I was a teenager. I think it was one of the last times that I actually was physically abused. And I was at the dinner table, and I was so excited. And so I broke my rule of speaking at the house. And I said, such and such happened 2 Sundays ago. And my dad said, what did you just say? And so I'm still excited. I was like, yeah, this thing happened 2 Sundays ago. What did you just say? And I repeated it, not knowing what I was doing wrong. And basically I was in trouble, and I was marched to the bedroom, and I was a teenager at this time because I should have said 2 weekends ago instead of 2 Sundays ago. So I used I never knew what I was going to get in trouble for.
Wow.
But I was probably 15, 16 by that time. And after that happened, I went outside with my mom. My mom had to go outside. But after it happened, I went and I said, if I'm ever touched again, I'm telling you right now, I will leave. I will be gone. You will not know where I am. I will be gone. So the physical abuse stopped after that. And I have a really good relationship with my dad now. So I just want to put that out there. We live on the same property. I know he loves me. I never thought he loved me. I know my mom loves me. They were in this church that was encouraging my dad to physically abuse children, encouraging all the men that if they did not beat the devil out of us, that we would grow up and have this sin and devil in us. So when I say it was a cult, I'm being serious. Like they controlled what my family did and what other families did, to the point of the pastor telling my dad to beat the sin out of us. So that kind of thing, when you carry forward, it was part of the reason that I was so depressed in my early 20s and going forward, and why I had so much trouble being a mother, like trying to be the perfect mother. And I failed, in my eyes, I failed because of my mental illness and depression and everything I carried with me. And that sort of thing was buried so deep in my shadow that I was afraid to speak to people. I would sit at a party in the back and never speak to people. I would never call someone on the phone. If I got wrong food at a restaurant, I'd never speak up about that. Like, I just was the quiet, shy, timid thing. And people just thought I was an introvert, which I am an introvert, but they just thought that I just was very quiet. They did not realize that my world had created who I was, if that makes sense. And so now I am more myself. I'm more authentic. I can speak up when I want to. When I don't want to speak up, I choose not to speak up. But I'm not this timid little mouse afraid to say anything for fear of what's going to happen to me.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, not being a timid mouse and speaking your truth. Oh.
Svetlana says, "Oh, how I can relate."
Yeah, it brings me back to what I was saying before of the Jesus saying, "Father, forgive them for they know not what they do."
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who worship him right now, they don't know what they do. They feel they're doing the right thing, and they have they're right. It's their own beliefs and where they're at. But when you really start to develop that embodied relationship with the teachings of Christ, it's a whole different ball game, because you start to see people from the heart and not see them from the egoic structure of your mind and labeling them and like, this is right, this is wrong, you're the devil, it's bad to be gay, you're gonna go to hell, all these judgments that are happening for it. And even like with your father, he was just doing what he was told, and he felt like that was the right thing to do.
Right.
It reminds me too from this parenting. A lot of us with parenting, the way that we got parented, our parents just parented us the way that they felt was the right way of parenting us with whatever information that they had. But they loved us. They loved us in the way that they were meant to love us, but also the loving that they gave us enabled us, like for yourself, to really embody who you are right now in your journey. And that's beautiful. Like, you were able to build a loving relationship right now with your parents from all the stuff that happened. So that's a testament to the work that you're doing with yourself, but also it just shows us how deep you can help people who may be going through similar situation with their parents, and showing that it's totally possible to develop this unconditional love and relationship with your parents again. But you have to let go of what happened and start to fall in love with yourself first.
I think one thing you said is so important. People do a lot of what they do because of how they were raised and what they were taught. That doesn't make it right, of course, and I'm not saying that, but what it does is allow us to see other people through the eyes of compassion. Even people who are doing terrible things in the world, you can still have compassion. Of course, you set your boundaries.
Exactly.
You don't let toxic people in your life if you can help it and all that. But even if you have your boundary up, you can still look across at people and say, I can have compassion, because we don't know what their childhood was like. We don't know how they were treated. We don't know how they were bullied. And even my children, my youngest child was bullied a lot in school. He is, I mess it up so many times, and I think people can relate to that. But my child has told me that he is non-binary. And at the time in school, they said that they were harassed and bullied, followed in Walmart and that sort of thing. And so I tried to really teach setting boundaries, but also if someone is a bully, they probably were bullied as well. And that, like I said, it doesn't make it right, but it does change perspective of just when you are looking at somebody doing something harmful, it can change your reaction a little bit to have compassion for someone, because these people a lot of the time don't just come out of the womb evil, terrible, bully people. They don't. They come out of the womb like we do, and something happens in their life to change that, to mold them into something. And so that just allows us to have compassion. So when I looked back at my parents and I saw and understood the situation they were in, that allowed me to have compassion that then led to forgiveness and reconciliation and healing.
Yeah. We've got a comment here too that says, woohoo, love and compassion, the highest vibration in the universe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That question, what must it be like for them? You know, just opens up this whole world into, you know, out of our perception and into the life of the person that's standing across from us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that question isn't asked, and sometimes people aren't heard or acknowledged, or sometimes they don't understand that they matter. There's so many dynamics here.
Yeah. I love what she said of the showing compassion with boundaries type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I was believing for myself, like, oh, for me to show compassion and whatever, I'm gonna like just pretty much open the gates again.
Yeah.
And the way that I explained it to Kai is sort of like, if a snake bit me, it's like, oh, I forgive you, snake. Here, come in. Let me give you a hug.
Right.
The snake's gonna probably
bite you again.
Bite me again type of thing. But it just reminds you, it's sort of like, or not sort of like, I'm gonna go there. Mm-hmm. It's like if somebody did something in a previous experience that you had with them that didn't serve, or it served you, but it's something that you know that you don't want to experience again type of thing. And then this person tries to re-enter your life. What I try to embody for myself is everybody has the ability to change, ability to heal, but then some people, they don't heal. And what I like to do is I like to just have a boundaries type of thing. And also I choose who I want to allow back into my life type of thing. And I'm grateful for the journey of what the person put or what we went through collectively. I also have the choice, like whether or not I want to have another life with them. But what I should judge myself, like, is that spiritual to like not allow people in your life for the potentiality of being bitten again, pretty like that example? Is that spiritual? And there was like these judgmental thoughts that I had. And what I started to integrate for me now is like, spirituality to me is my spirituality. It's my flavor of it. And it's unconditional love. But the number one conditional love is the love for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you're loving yourself, it opens up so many ideas of, I don't have to be walked over. I don't have to be the rug that everyone takes advantage of. I don't have to allow every person who needs a roof over their head into my home.
Yeah.
Because you ask yourself, okay, if I love myself, would I do this? And kind of think about that question. And especially if you have not practiced loving yourself. My mother says that when you start saying no to things, that your pendulum kind of swings over to the hell no. And so you're over here for a little while and you got to swing back. So even in your spiritual path, you may swing way over here and say, I ain't doing it, and you're not doing it, and you're not coming to my house, and stay away from me. But eventually you have a balance. But even when you're balanced, you're still not fully open either. You're taking care of yourself. You have a cup that you have to keep full. And if you're constantly giving that cup to everybody because you feel like that is what spirituality is, you're going to burn out, and it's not going to be healthy for you.
Yeah. That's for me, like bringing a healthy balance between things and being okay to say no.
Yeah.
It says, yes, enforcing your boundaries is self-love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had to learn like the whole self-love and boundaries, a balanced boundaries type of thing. Meaning like if somebody was asking for help and I can help them, not just like, no, I can't help you. And like I said it to Kai before, I would say if a person like came to me, let's say like a person who was seeking help, seeking that support, and they were a person, let's say in a previous experience that things didn't go so well, I told her I would be in a space to actually offer help with my boundaries, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's your sovereignty to choose.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to allow them in and also have boundaries with that as well. And know ahead of time if they get to a certain point or they say a certain thing, you will speak up and you will say, all right, that's it. That's over. I've helped you as much as I could. Now it's time for you to move on.
There we go. There we go.
It's harder. It's all easy and good to say it, but it's hard to face somebody and have those boundaries. And I realize that because I have to set boundaries with people in my life too. And I have people who will push and manipulate and not mean to manipulate and who will want me to change my boundaries because I have very, very strict boundaries. You know, I don't let a whole lot of people, specifically here in my home right now. You know, we've got a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
And people will want to push and do this, and people will want me to start hosting things in public again. And I do everything online now, and except for just a few things that I've done, which I've been very careful about. And you have to stick to it, and you may piss people off in the meantime. Yeah. But that's okay too.
Yeah. That reminds me of the saying of like setting your boundaries of self-love. Is the ones you pissed off or the people who are not meant to be in your life.
Exactly.
And the people who honor that and respect that fact that you are really setting boundaries for yourself. Those are the people that you want to keep in your life because they honor that.
Exactly.
That's crazy that it's been an hour already. And love for you to share all the places that we can find you, Mela.
Yeah, sure. I've got a Facebook page, 3 Rays of Light LLC. I've got a website also on 3raysoflight.org if you're interested in anything that I do there. And I also have the Bell Book and Candle podcast, which is a witchy podcast that I just love doing. I have a lot of great interviews, including Kai. So she was one of the first interviews that I did. I started my podcast during the pandemic, like many people did. So Bell Book and Candle is on Facebook as well, and you can find all the links there.
Awesome. And if you had just one parting piece of advice for those who are walking whatever path that they're walking, what would that be?
Don't let anybody tell you how to connect to the divine, however you define the divine, whether it's a tree out in your yard or God or goddess or anything else. Don't let anybody force you into a box that looks like what they want you to be. Have the freedom and the ability to spread your wings, transform like the butterfly, and just follow your own path, because that is truly where you're going to find peace and joy and fulfillment in life.
Ooh, yes.
Right.
Peace, joy, and fulfillment. I'm there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you so much for being here.
I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Yes. Check out Mela and all the links. And oh my gosh, what an amazing conversation we had today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for listening, participating, commenting. We see you. And
stay magical.